I started making music when I was 8 years old. I always had music around me when I was a kid growing up.
It's all about creativity. It's just a big playground, you know. We're just having a really good time.
You can reach people and inspire people and, open up people's minds into the possibilities.
I like to be proud of my own songs. I want to make good records.
I'm trying to create a certain sonic universe, creating this kind of magic.
And this is our soundtrack to creativity.
So about a month ago, we kicked off the Hot Seat series with an interview with Jonas von der Fair, better known as Pride of Friends' Norwegian counterpart, Fairplay. I now have the Swedish connection in Pride of Friends' global overhaul. He goes by the name of Jeremy Olander, and he's sat in the hot seat. Jeremy, my man, thanks for joining. How you doing?
I'm good, Dan. How are you, man?
No complaints, my man. Thank you very much for joining us this close to Christmas. It seems fair to say that the wind down for 2013 is notably hectic for you so far. How are you feeling as we prepare to transition over to the new year?
I'm really happy with everything that's gone this year. I started the year with releasing Let Me Feel, which was a great start to the year. And, after that, I did Petroleum. And to be honest, those two tracks aren't the typical kind of tracks that I do. They have vocals in them. And I'm finishing off the year with Bandersnatch. And I just want to show people that, I'm not all about, vocals. I have a pretty wide spectrum of sounds, and I just want to show people what I'm all about, kind of.
Now, as well as consistent releases, you've been really racking up the air miles, and I think it really shows in the global profile you're now holding. Has it sort of surprised you to see such a sudden surge of attention towards what you do and what Pride of Friends is doing at the moment?
Yeah, I think it would be... the big record is obviously Let Me Feel, but I've been releasing music since 2009, and I've been slowly but surely, gaining fans, but definitely Let Me Feel was the one that really set me apart, and it's been getting support from a lot of DJs, a huge range of DJs, and I still keep getting, big support. People are still discovering it, so definitely that track,
Now, the year saw you and Fairplay embark on no less than 2 North American tours, and you joined Eric Prydz for his Epic 2.0 shows as well. Did you have any apprehensions or concerns in approaching this scene, given the intense focus that it has on the sort of more mainstream sects of modern dance music, or was it pretty easy sailing for you guys?
You know what? I was a little bit nervous about going to the US at first. I wasn't sure that we would be able to do our thing properly, if people would be into it, like me and Jonas playing really deep. But when I got there, people were so into it, and we were able to do our own thing. We could throw in techno there, and we could throw in some deep house in there, and people were loving it every single time. So I'm really happy with how it went down. And compared to Europe, I think people are so hungry and eager over there to discover new music, especially at the moment, when people are so new to the genre. So yeah, it's been a pleasant surprise.
Now, Jonas couldn't speak highly enough about going back-to-back with you at these shows, and it's an interesting concept bringing you two together, given that despite the fact you're on the same label, you've got very distinct sounds. How was the experience of going back-to-back with Jonas for you?
Yeah, we played together the first time. It was in Germany earlier on this year, and I've never played back-to-back with him, but it worked really well. Like you said, we have our own distinct sounds, but they work really well together. He has a little bit more of the tech housey kind of vibe, and I bring in a little bit more of the techno stuff, but it works really well together. And then obviously we have our progressive stuff that we make ourselves, and that goes really well as well, so it's been a really pleasant surprise. And Jonas is such a nice guy. We have a lot of fun on the road. He's such a goofball, but he loves to prank me, and it's he's been scaring the shit out of me, but it's been fun.
Your inauguration to music came through the likes of Michael Jackson and East Coast hip-hop, but you've also quoted that a love for technology was a key element in the road that you've taken towards a career in electronic music. How do you feel about the part that technology has played in modern DJs and producers' careers, and has it all been positive to your mind?
Yeah, of course. I was really into computer games and just messing around with computers when I was younger, and that's kind of how I went into when my friends showed me how to produce on a computer. It kind of went hand in hand in what I was doing on the computer. I was trying to code HTML and stuff like that, really basic stuff, but you know, this is kind of similar to doing stuff like that. You know, you put together, like, it's almost like a puzzle, you know, like when you work in Logic. And I think, you know, with our generation, a lot of people are sitting in front of the computer, and like, you might not think that you will be able to be a musician. You know, when I was younger, looking at like bands and musicians, I was like, I could never ever do that. You know, I'd never ever learn to play an instrument that well. But being a computer freak, it kind of made it possible for me to write music through a computer. You know, it's like a new instrument almost. So yeah, I mean, I haven't really incorporated it into my shows yet, but I think eventually I'm gonna try and do something more lively than just playing CDs or SD cards. You know, but for now, I'm gonna hold off and just keep doing it as I am. You know.
So Bandersnatch is your 6th release for Pride of Friends, and I'm definitely hearing a bit of Dylan in there, as well as that sort of lush melodic sound that we've come to expect from the Jeremy Olander releases on the label. How important is it keeping these two sounds under different monikers and separate to you? And do you believe that we're approaching a point where the genre boxes will sort of comfortably merge without fans really getting upset?
I keep Dylan and Jeremy Olander separate just because I don't want to disappoint people who expect a Jeremy Olander track and something really melodic, and then they hear something drum-oriented. So in that sense, it's kind of important to keep it separate for me. But, you know, when I play live, I mix together a lot of techno with progressive, and people seem to really enjoy that. So I think when it comes to DJ sets, it's fine to just mix it all together, you know, like Matzo, when he did his Essential mix, I heard he put together like, I don't know how many different genres in there. So people are really mixing it up when it comes to their DJ sets. But when it comes to releases, I think it's still important to keep things separate and not mix it up too much.
Now, I don't want to dwell on it for too long, but we have set the world to rights in terms of the coinage of progressive house and the state of the Beatport charts several times throughout our own careers. To your mind and ears, is the situation getting any better, or is this a problem that you think will just melt away as the genre lines continue to blur?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was kind of bugging me out. You know, I was seeing what the progressive charts were filled with, and then I listened to my tracks, and they were so different, you know, and I was like, oh man, it's not how it used to be. But now I just think it's all just getting blurry, and I'm fine with it, you know, like music is music, and yeah, man, it's like you almost got to separate yourself and make your own kind of sound almost, you know, instead of having progressive, you got to have like the Olander sound, or like Eric has the Prida sound or stuff like that. I think it's more fun. But the whole genre thing has just gotten out of control, and people, I don't know. I'm fine with how it is right now.
What I've loved about 2013 for you is that it seems to have been a really loud and proud statement as to certainly you and Jonas being independent artists and not just being these right-hand talents to Eric Prydz and his legacy. Given that you've sort of taken that step out of that shadow, what sort of further aspirations do you hold for the direction you're taking your sound and your career in?
Yeah, like you said, it's important to show people that, you know, that we are separate artists and that we are our own artists. And of course, you know, I'm so thankful to Eric for bringing us under his wings. But, you know, at some point, we can't be being like under his wings in like 5-10 years, you know, like we got to be our own kind of brands. And I think the way to do that is just keep releasing music. And because, you know, you're not going to get some hardcore fans for 1 track or 2 track. It has to be like 10 tracks, and you got to have your own label and stuff like that. That's at least the way I look at it when I see someone. You know, I'm not a big fan after 1 track or 2 tracks. It takes a while to become a big fan and a label that has a distinct sound and stuff like that. So the plan for me is, you know, hopefully next year. I've been kind of naive about saying that I would start a label, and I said that I would do it this year, but hopefully next year. Start a label and start building up my own kind of thing. Obviously, I would still keep releasing music under Eric's label and stuff like that, working with him. But I think at some point I got to start building up my own kind of thing as well, you know? So that's kind of the plan.
You're entering 2014 with some serious momentum. Am I right in hearing on the grapevine that there's going to be some affirmative action for both Pride of Friends and Drum Code relatively early in the game for the new year?
Well, yeah. I have some stuff lined up for Pride of Friends. I think we're going to preview the next release early on next year, and then I have some other stuff as well lined up. So you know, it's going to be a lot of stuff coming out next year. And for drum code, Adam he's a very picky guy, and I totally respect that. That's how he has built the label to what it is today. But the drum code EP is like 90% there, so I'm hoping that we could get it out early next year as well. I'm really eager on getting it out. It's such a great label and a great home for my Dylan moniker, and I'm super proud, to be part of both drum code and the Prida label. It's pretty mind-blowing, to say the least.
Jeremy, you've been an absolute gent. Thanks for joining us on the House Dan Built Radio. Oh, and hey, Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas, Dan.